Hi, Jan. At least there's two of us here. Hi, Jan. At least there's two of us here. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
That's called Stuart on the system, but it's Paul Stuart Bailey. For everybody to know.
Just trying to work out how to change my name over from mine and my husband's from when we were doing a meeting earlier.
All right. I did say a thing at the top we could actually change it. Yeah. Well, rename. Yeah. I don't know what you're renaming, but if you click on the. You click on your name. If you hover over your name, you'll see mute, more, and click on more. You can say rename. It says rename. I don't know if you can rename.
Ah, brilliant. Thank you.
There you are. Well done. So very common early. So when I tried to contact with the kids on Zoom the other day, we were all going all over the shop with the internet not connecting.
Oh, I know. It's a nightmare at the moment. My mum's lost all her internet and phone access today, so she's having a panic attack because she can't get hold of anybody.
My partner, this was a problem because the modem's upstairs, so they keep running upstairs. It kept switching off because they were on at the same time. we're trying to reconnect. I mean, I had a 40-minute meeting. We had 5 minutes by the time we got connected. Hi there.
It is recording, so no swearing. What I'll also say is I'll also make a copy of this available to Beth, and she'll ping it all out, so you'll have a recording for it.
Brilliant.
Mel, you can't get a place for next week. It's sold out. We
Yeah.
will sort that out, Mel. It will never be sold out. Okay. I can have hundreds of people on this Zoom screen. I will find a place for you, Mel.
The first time, Julian, that I tried to get onto this course, it said it was sold out. I just happened to have another notification, so I was able to join tonight. And then it had a link for next week's with it. I tried to get the ticket, and it says sold out again.
Yeah,
I was the same.
Okay. What I will do is at the end of tonight's session, I've got Beth Roberts, who is here. I'm just going to hunt for Beth. She's here somewhere.
I'm here, Julian. Hi.
Hi, Beth. It's like blankety blanket, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll have a natter with Beth at the end of tonight's session. We'll find out what's happened there, and we'll get back to everybody.
All of next week's spaces won't be open until this evening.
Okay.
So I'll be sharing a link with you later. So everyone who's attending, as long as I have your name, we will email you an invite from Eventbrite as soon as the session's finished, so that you can book onto next week's. Because what we don't do is allow, we don't want you missing out basically on the series. So we do it that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll let Julian carry on.
That's okay. It's been written, this course, to be quite progressive. So as you go, what I'll be doing on this week.
Hello.
Power of Zoom, I can mute you. What we're going to look at tonight, we're also going to kind of track on next week as well. So I'll always make sure there's a recap on each kind of iteration. It won't just be brand new stuff. So hopefully it'll be a good chance for you to recap and get through anything. Now, how I do this is I'm going to share with you 3 screens. That's 4. There's 3. You're going to see a teacher's screen, and then you're going to see it from the perspective of 2 students. So I'll just kind of briefly, this is what it's going to look like. So the teacher's screen, you can tell because the teacher is wise and they've used Google Chrome, and it has a black kind of tab at the top. So that will be the teacher's screen. I also have 2 students who will be joining me. So this is my next student. So Joe, as I can see you, can you see a silver tab at the top?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Fantastic, it means it's worked. And then I have another student who's my least favorite because they're using Internet Explorer, and that's their screen as well. So what I'll try and do with every element of the session is I'm going to try and make sure that I flick between the teacher, the students, and the kind of cumulative, the group of students. So I'll be showing that. Everyone ready to begin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is I want to look at setting up a basic classroom. Now, what I've got here on this first screen, I've already logged in. I've gone to Google Classroom. Now, as you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 6 classes already made, because you can have actually up to 1,000 classes. You can have up to 1,000 users using your Google Classroom. So if you have 1,000 students, very busy, but I can set up quite a large amount. Now, what I'm going to do is to create my classroom, I'm just going to go to this plus symbol at the top. So I left-hand click on the plus symbol, and I'm going to go create a class. And I'm going to create a class just for tonight. So I'm going to call this class, I'm going to have to call it something more inventive because I've got enough. Thursday Learning Crew. We'll call it section 2. I may say whether you're a higher level. And we're going to call this Google Classroom, and it's online. Now, the key thing to remember here is this section here I've called higher level. Now what you can do, and I'm going to come back to it later on, is that I can create a higher level, an intermediate, and a foundation level for one class. And I'll explain how that works later on. But that's a key thing to remember. It's a lot of time people do ask this question about that. So I've got now a higher level, and I'm just going to create it. Now what this does is it gives me my icon. It puts this little kind of partition of the room. And what it will also do automatically is it will create a folder in my Google Drive. My Google Drive is my online storage tool. So there's my session. It's automatically created it for me. I've got a few things on here. I can select a theme. So if I want to say it's an English class, I have the Brazilian flag. There you go. So I can make it that. I can upload a photo if I want my school's logo and bits and pieces. That's absolutely fine. Now, what you'll notice straight away is it's very much like a very stripped down version of Facebook and social media. The benefit of this for our students is that they're so used to using this tool anyway as a platform. They're actually probably more kind of well versed in this than we are. So when I've used this in the past, I found it's actually my younger students who are more adept at it than my older students. And that was going back about 3-4 years ago when we started using this. So I've now set up this classroom. Now at the moment, I don't have any pupils and I need to invite students to come into my class. And you can do this 2 ways, and I'll just guide you through. So the first thing I'm going to go to, right at the top, I've got stream, classwork, and people. And I'm going to go to people. I can see the teachers. Now I can add more teachers. If I have a teaching assistant, or say there's 2 of you who are team teaching a module, I can add another teacher. Now what that means is that they can also see the work that is being done. So if you have a member of your senior management team who wants to be part of this classroom, they can also track the students. They can also put comments in, set assignments, and set work. So it's quite a nice little tool to have that there. Now I can invite students 2 ways. The first way is I can just add in their email address. So I've got one learner here. So this is wrexhamlearner4@gmail.com. So what I can do is I can invite them by sending them an email request. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick over to that student. So now you should see the student screen. It's got the silver at the top. So this is my student screen. And in their email inbox, they've got this invitation. And then all they have to do is select join. And what that automatically does is it connects them straight into the classroom that I have set up. So that student now, lovely, there they go. They're now in my class. So if I go back to my teacher screen and I just refresh it, you can see how it's gone from being gray and it's now gone to a solid black color. So that student is now in my classroom. The other way that I can invite a student, if I go back to, if you see stream at the top, it takes me back to my home screen, is I can send out a class code, and it's right at the top here. So there's the name, and I have a class code. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. So I could send it out as an email, or I could send it as a message to a student. And I'm going to go to my other student. They're not so clever, they're using Internet Explorer. And what they do is they go into Google Classroom, and at the top, they see the plus symbol, and they're going to join a class. So all they do then is they paste in the code that I have sent out. Once that code's been added, it puts them in that classroom. So there's 2 ways of a student joining, and there they are, they're in. If I go back to my teacher screen, I can now go to my people, and I'll refresh this. Hopefully, there we go. I've got learner 4 and I've got learner 5. So I've got 2 pupils in the room. Learner 4, I sent out an email invitation using the plus symbol. And learner 5, I went to stream and I just gave them the class code. So that's the 2 ways of getting those students in. Now, if we look at just the first feature of this classroom here, got a couple of things in there. How many teachers can you have per class? You can have up to 1,000 people in that classroom, including teachers and students. So you could have 100 teachers and 900 students if you wanted to. There's no actual limit on it. Could you put parents as extra teachers? Yes. Again, run it through your, if they're already with it, the key thing there is make a DBS and bits and pieces. But yeah, you can have parents as extra teachers. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem. Some good questions there. Thank you. So let's look straight away at this first screen. The class code works with Internet Explorer and Chrome. I would always advise using Chrome. Internet Explorer is just dreadful, and it's so many issues. And children need either a Google email or they need a hub code. So you have a hub email, or some people have got Seesaw emails that are set up. So let's go to the first key page here. Now I can do a few things with this. I can just send them a message. So I can, don't forget your PE kit. Don't forget to put a G in, forget also. And I can post a simple message to them. Now that will come up on the student's email to say there is a message on their Google Classroom. It's also one of the things I've really found. I'm using similar software with my students at the moment, and having that kind of little bit of kind of relaxed, a little bit of informal, hi, how you doing, and sharing like books they're reading and stuff. It's been actually really nice to help alleviate any of the tension they may be feeling. You're still there, you're still human. What I can also do from here is I can send messages to specific students. So if I just want to send us a message just to learner 4, now I can send that message just to that one learner. So if I now go to that learner's page, I can see that person there has got welcome. You always forget your PE kit, sort it out. But if I go to the other student's page, all you can see is just that one message. So I can send specific things. I wouldn't send messages like that to them. But if you wanted to say, oh, here's a good YouTube video, or here's a good link to something that might be of use for them, it's a good way, especially if you're looking at differentiating your classroom in that level. You can set individual bits and pieces to people. When I share something, I can also add things from my file. I can send links, web addresses. I can send files from my computer, and I can send YouTube links. If I click on YouTube, what it does is it opens up the YouTube search for me. So say, there we go. They need something to get them excited. So I'm going to share with them a video on cognitive dissonance. So I can just send fun little videos like that for them. And again, it's very much like Facebook. It's just a little thing just to keep them going. So it's quite nice to use that method there if you just want a quick share of something. Now, the main thing that we're going to be looking at today really is about kind of allowing for students to collaborate, communicate, and complete assignments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my student view. So here's my student view. They can see this. and they can actually share stuff back. There we go. They can also add their own things as well, Google Drive, link, file, and YouTube. So they can actually post as well. So the communication goes both ways. Key thing as well, if you're looking at it from a safety point of view, only learners who have the code and you've allowed on can actually get access to it. So it is quite a nice little thing there for them. So they can share. Let's go back now to our teacher's view. So what I want to look at now is how to create an assignment for our students. There's quite a few things you can do here. So what I'm going to go to at the top here is I'm going to go to classwork. So I can create assignments and questions here. I can put topics in for different modules, but I'm going to go to just create. And I'm going to create, firstly, I'm going to create an assignment. Now, if I call this, I don't know, spelling and grammar test. There we go. I can put instructions in for the students, complete the worksheet attached, and get it all correct. Now I can, from here, I can put exactly who I'm going to send that to in the groups. Now I said earlier, I said you can differentiate the, you can have 3 classrooms together. So I can have a higher, an intermediate, and a foundation. So if I had here, this is my higher level, this one here is my intermediate level, and this one is my foundation level, I can set an assignment for 2 classes, even though I'm not in that class, if that makes sense. So if I think actually the work task I'm setting will be useful for my higher, my intermediate, and my foundation group, I can click those 3 and all of them will get access to that work task. I can also just set it for an individual group of students. What I can also do is I can also set an assignment purely for a specific learner or specific groups of learners. So if you want to set them in groups, if you know that they need a little bit more challenge, or maybe it's going to be too difficult for them and you want them to do a different work task, I can select who I'm going to send that work to. So I'm going to send this to both Learner 4 and Learner 5, all of my students. The next option I have underneath is I can assign a number of points, or I can have it unmarked. Now for this task, it's going to be out of 10. I'm going to put it as out of 10. And I'm going to set a due date. So they're going to have to get this work to me by tomorrow. And I'll give them till midnight because that's what I feel like doing. We've not added topics yet. I'll come to that in a second. But what we are going to do is we're going to look at writing a rubric for them. Now you've got 2 options here with rubrics. You can either create one from scratch, or if you've already used one in the past, we can reuse it. And I'll show you how to do that one. But we're going to create a rubric. So I'm going to have scoring, and I'm going to have my learning outcome 1. And I'm going to give a description. Spell the words correctly. And I can say that's going to be worth 5 points. I can give a little description. I'm going to call that level 1. And I can link that to SPAC. There we go. I can then add another criteria for us there. So my second criteria could be use of IT is well good. And I'm going to give that 5 points as well because I put it as total out of 10. Now, once I've done that, I can save that rubric. So I've saved that. I've now applied the rubric to the assignment, and I have assigned it to the students. So once I've done that, the key thing to remember here is automatically saved. I don't need to click anything, and I set assign. Children's posts automatically go on the feed, but you can, it comes up on email, so you can delete it straight away. And can you comment on work if you set it as unmarked? Yes, you can. Good questions there. And I'll show you how to mark work. So on my teacher screen, remember we've got the black font at the top. I can see the work I've set, the due date. And if I click on it, I can see how many I've handed in and how many I've assigned it to, and the rubric. So I've got quite a lot of details there. Let's go to my student screen. So now here I am. This is my student screen. This is my Firefox student. So what they'll see straight away is they'll see that I've posted a new assignment for them. What they'll also see, if we go to our Google Apps here, is each student will be given a calendar automatically created for them. And this calendar will tell them when their assignment's due. It will give them a little warning as well, saying you've got some homework in tomorrow. It will give them all the details, but it will automatically put that into their calendar for them. So if they say, I forgot that I had to hand it in, then there's no excuse. It's there. So here I am. This is my student screen, and they're going to click on the work. Now this is the screen that they're going to see, and there's quite a nice few things they can do here. Firstly, they can see the learning outcome, the rubric that I've set them, spell the words correctly, 5 points. Use of IT as well, good, brilliant. They can also send a private comment. Okay, now that message just goes to the tutor. So if they are having issues or they're unsure or anything like that, they can send a private comment that goes straight to the tutor. What they can also do is they can add class comments. And that will go then for the whole class to see. So again, we can start to work on building a collaboration in the classroom, getting them to share ideas and do this. Now what they're going to do is they're going to set the work. So here up here in the top corner, we can see this your work, add or create. Now next week, I'm going to go into a bit more details about how to use the tools that are there. And they've got a few options. You can either upload a file that's from their computer. They can upload a file from Google Drive, or say if they're using a third-party application, they can send a link. So maybe if you want them to find a website with some history facts on, they can send a URL, and that's absolutely perfect. But they're going to create a document. So by creating that, what it will do is a few things which is really useful for them. Yes, you can turn the class comments off. I'll show that on the next task, actually. Good question. Now, when this is created, what it does is it automatically puts a file name on it, and it creates this Word document. So they're gonna type some bits and pieces. Once they're happy, they've done the work, they've got two options. They can either close down the tab and it saves the work and they can continue at a later date, or if they are happy, they can just turn it in. So it just tells them again, are you going to turn in your work? Yes, I'm going to turn that in.
All right.
And there we go. They have submitted their work. Now, if they went, oh no, I wasn't meant to do that, they can unsubmit it and they can continue it at a later time. But they have submitted that piece of work for the tutor. Let's go to our other student. So this is our learner 5. They can also see this. They can see the student's comment about anyone able to help. They can reply to that comment, but they can't see the private comment that was added earlier about the dog. And they're going to add some work. Now what they're going to do is they're going to upload something from their Google Drive, because they did it a while ago. They're going to send in this. There you go. So they're going to go to their Google Drive. They upload something that actually they own. There they go. And they're going to turn that in. So we've got two options there of how they've done that. So let's now go to our tutor screen. So you can see now how this has changed. It tells me that 2 have handed in, none are left to hand their work in. And the key thing as well is up here, class drive folder. The great thing that happens when you set an assignment is that it will automatically create a folder for that work within your Google Drive. So if I just click on class drive folder, I can see here is my Google Drive. It's automatically created one for that classroom, and then it's automatically created a folder for that assignment I set. If I double click on that, I can see my student work has been saved in there automatically. So as soon as they turn in that piece of work, it gets stored for me. I don't have to do anything about it. It is quite nice. So let's see the work that was handed in. So I'm going to click on handed in. There's my learner 4. There's my learner 5. I can see the private comment from my learner 4 there. I can respond to that if I feel like it. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that work now. So by clicking on the work that they've just submitted, I get this screen that comes up. And there's quite a few things that we can do here once we've got the work. So the first thing I'm going to be showing here is this little box here. It says suggesting mode. I can edit the document directly, or I can have suggestions. So this is primarily used if you have punctuation, spelling, grammar mistakes. I can put a suggestion in. That tells the student that I've added a suggestion. And once they're happy, it will stay there for them. I can also add comments, very much like the review section that you would see on Microsoft Word. So I've now added a little comment on the side for the student on that work. I can assign a mark. So if I go to my rubric, I can see what I gave. Okay, so for spelling, punctuation, grammar, I'll give them 1 for attempting. And the next one was for something else, wasn't it? So I'll give them 2 for that. I can then add other comments underneath. Once I'm happy with that, it's given me a score. It's saved that for them. And once I'm happy, I'm going to hit return. Yep, I'm happy with that. I'm going to return that piece of work. This box here at the top, if I select on that, I can see my next student. And I can see what they've given me. And they've given me this. Now I can see the suggestions that I've made to them beforehand. I can see they've not followed my suggestion. So for that, I'm going to reduce their mark. They're not going to get anything for that. But for effort, because I'm feeling kind, I'm going to give them 5. So I've given them their scores. It's tallied them up there at the top. And I'm going to return that to the student. There we go. Now, the thing again, because this is online tools and storage that I'm using here, we'll save it automatically for them. So as soon as I've done that, I can actually just close it straight down. And I can now see, if I refresh my screen, that I have completed all of my marking when it finally comes back on. What is the youngest age pupils people have used this with? I've seen it with in Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2. But I've had a number of different groups. It's all about how you set it up, really, and it's just about keeping it simple. It's saving automatically. Again, because it's the nature of the tool, because it's cloud-based, it will automatically save, so you don't actually have to do anything. So if we go to our student screen while that's playing around. So here we are on our student screen. My internet decides to have a field day now, isn't it? This is the joys of it. Let's see if I can try opening another tab and it works. What I'll do while that's loading up, does anyone have any questions? I'm going to blame my rural living. 2 seconds.
What is Google Classroom?
Either Google is down or something has gone wrong. I'm just going to check something else. Okay, so that's not working at the moment. So just while that kind of decides to sort itself out, let's see if we can see any elements on the... Okay, so just while that's deciding to sort itself out, key thing as well is that we can spot is, here's our student and their email address. They can see I've put an announcement. They can also see when they've had the assignment set, and they can also see when I've graded that work for them and it's been returned. So there's quite a few little beneficial things for them by having it linked up online, is that they can see something that comes on. Can we jump between teacher and student screens? What I've done is I've set up one teacher screen, and I've set up a teacher account as well, and had them both on. Will work be sent to Hub Cloud if you're working through your Hub email? Yes, it will be. With the Hub system, it's all set through the same one, so that works perfectly. I'm still waiting for Google to decide to work. Okay, just what I'm going to do, if that's okay, is I'm just going to jump out, reset my internet, and I'll be back in about 2 seconds, if that's okay, everybody. My internet is deciding to have a moment, so I'll be back in a second. There we go. We're back. I didn't say that. So let's see who I can see. So Anne Case.
Yeah.
Hello. Can you see the teacher screen now with the black tab at the top?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Fantastic. I will continue. Sorry about that. So let's go back to our assignment that I set. So I've marked both the student pieces of work. I've got none left to be handed in, none left to be assigned, and it's telling me that I've marked 2. I've got their scores there, and they're returned to the students. Now, if we go to the student account, which is having a moment, they can see they've got their work back and the score that they received. So you can see they got 3 out of 10 overall. They can also click on, they can see the work that I've marked for them, and that will tell them the suggested comments that come up. So if there are any, there you go. They can see the comment that I've made for them as a teacher and added to their work. So there'll be plenty down the side there once you've got a full piece. So for the student, they get their mark straight away. They can see the work that you've marked, and actually they can resubmit another piece of work if they wanted to. So that's absolutely fine. Again, if we go to our other student, they can see the mark they've got. And again, exactly the same as last time, they can see their work with the comments that I have added down the side. So there we go. Take a bit longer on this one. There we go. They can see their comments down the side. So if we go to our teaching screen now, what I can see is I can see marks. So I've got stream, classwork, and marks. And I can see here each assignment that I've set for them. So the 18th of April, I set a spelling and grammar test. It tells me the class average, and it tells me what each learner got. So I can track their progress as they go along for that work. If I go back to classwork, it'll tell me the work that's gone in. And again, on the stream, I've got here the assignment, and the students, they can add comments to that underneath. Now, one of the things that again, that is useful for them, if I share a student screen, if they go to the home screen here, down the left-hand side, it'll actually tell them date of when work has been set for them. So that's always quite useful. So they've got the calendar, they've got the little thing down the side, and they've got the emails that remind them without you having to do that. So let's look at some other things that I can set for our students. So I can create a question. So this is quite nice because what I can do is I can use this to create a forum space for them. So there we go. So I'm going to set this little question for them, short answer. I can add a link to, you know, David Icke or something if they wanted to watch that. So I can send them a YouTube link. Now I'm going to have this one as unmarked because I don't want it to, it's just a forum. I can have students allowing to reply to each other. And once I've done that, I'm going to have ask. So I've now sent that to the students. If I go back to sharing it, so again, this is my student screen. And what they should see once this loads up is that I've posted a question. So that student can add an answer in. So here it says your answer, type your answer. No. And they can turn in that answer. They can then see classmate answers and they can reply to those classmate answers that are there. So let's go to another one of our students that we have. So they can't see other student answers at the moment, but they could go yes, of course. They're going to turn that in. And what they can then do is they can see the classmate answers and they can reply to each other's response. So hopefully that's as clean cut as it will get. Now, the good thing with when they do that, if we go to that student account now, is that they will be able to see the responses they've had to their own answers. So it's quite nice to see. There we go. So they've got a reply. Now, what we can do, if I go to the teacher's view now, is I can see the two that have handed in. And I can track all of the work that's going on. So if you do open a class discussion, you can see exactly who said what and when and how it's gone forward. So that's just using kind of forums available for student tasks. Let's set another quiz material. I'm going to look at quizzes in a little bit more detail next week. One of the things I want to look at is topics. So if I have set modules, I can add a module in here. So I'm going to add a few modules. This is particularly good if you're looking at using this for portfolios. So if the students are building a portfolio over the course of a year. And now I'm going to create another assignment task for them. Again, give a bit more details when you set instructions. That's a top tip. There we go. I can assign points for this. I'm going to have it as 10. Now what I'm going to do is, where it says rubric, I can reuse a rubric that I've done before. So if I've used it in another class, so I did one a few weeks ago, and I created a rubric from that session, rather than have to rewrite it every time, I can reuse a rubric from previous. I can also assign that assignment to fall under one of our new topics that we've just created. So if I want to keep that work under certain modules, especially if they're working on a portfolio, I can set that under that topic. And the due date for this is going to be then and that time. So again, I assign the work for them and that's gone there. So as you can see now, this assignment has fallen under that specific topic for them. So when they complete the work, it will catalog it for them. If I go to my student screen, again, they'll see they've got their next assignment for them. And it's used the rubric that I added, that I've reused. So I've reused an old rubric. And they're just going to say they've done it. Actually, no, I'll add. So they've just sent in a BBC web link because that's what they feel like doing. And they've turned that work in. If I go to my other student, they're going to see this question as well. They're going to add it now. There we go, because they're liberal. and they're going to turn in their work. Now, one of the good things with this as well, when I said earlier about being able to differentiate, I can differentiate when I set assignments as well. So again, if I go to create, set an assignment, I can actually pick who I want that work to go to. So if I want it to just go to learner 4, I'm just going to send it to learner 4. If I want it to go to just learner 5, I can do that, and I can pick and choose. So that's one of the key things really going forward. I can see that 2 have handed in. If I go back to my assignment, 2 have handed in, and I can mark their work. So I'm going to give them, they're going to have 2, and they're going to have 2 points. They're going to have 3. Well done. And then my learner 5, let's have a look at their work. They're going to get 1, but they were fantastic. They're going to get 17 out of 17 there. Lovely. And then I'm going to return that work to them. I go back to my home page, and now I've returned that, my marks have been updated. So it shows me the mark from the most recent assignment. It tells me average for that class, and also the ones that are unmarked. I can see that. Now what I can do is, no matter how far back, because it's all linked to the Google Drive, I can view when they submitted that work, and I can actually view the work that they submitted. So no matter how far back it is, if you're thinking, oh, I can't find it, I can actually just view what they've submitted. It's not a single problem. So they've just given me a brilliant, thank you. Good student. So it is quite a nice tool for us to have there and for us to use. What we're going to look at in the next section is using far more of the tools really to play around with. We're going to be looking at using Google Docs and Google Slides to create collaborative assignments. This one's really kind of just looking at setting up the basis of our classroom, setting assignments, following the classwork that's there, and assisting our students and the marks. The kind of last bit really is just going through some of the questions. Can you create subtopics? Jo, that's a good question. I'm going to have a look. No. You can't. Sorry. No. Great question there. No, you cannot set a sub one, unfortunately. You could probably have one underneath though, because what I could do is I could rename this one module 3.1 and then have it down. So you could have it like that. And again, if I go back to the Google Drive folder, it will show me the work that's there, and that will be created for me. So it is kind of set up for that really. What other questions have we got? Can you set work to go live on a particular day or date? So set this up the week ready for 3 weeks time. That's a great question. Let's have a quick look at that one. So I'm going to create an assignment. Let's have a look. I think you can. So what I can do here is I can schedule it. I can schedule it to go live on the 30th of April. Yes. So what you can do is set the assignment, and then just up here where it says assign, I can actually schedule it to go forward. I can save it. So if I've got an idea now, I can actually write it, save it, and then assign it at a later date. But I can assign it for, months in advance. I can assign it to go whenever I want. So it's a really good question. I've not thought of that one before, so thank you. Can I set an assignment to more than one class or year group? Yes. So this assignment here, I can pick which of my classes I want it to go to. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes, and I can set it to go to those 3 groups there. So this is why I was saying earlier about how you can differentiate the classes that you have in front of you. These are good questions. Do we have any more? How do you turn the class comments off? Okay, so let's go to my classroom, and I can go to settings. Now what I can do is under my settings, I did that quite fast, sorry. So on the home screen, you got this cog at the top here. I can then go stream, only teacher can post or comment. So I can set that there to just allow, so my students can't write anything on there. They can just engage with the work, but they can't add any comments. So good question. Where can you comment on multiple pieces of work? Hello, Steve. Where can you comment on multiple pieces of work uploaded in the same assignment? So if I have, say a student has, let's set this task here. Hello, dog. Yeah, I know. It's not dinner yet. Sorry, that's my dog. Got at least 10 minutes left before dinner. So I'm going to assign this work now. So I've assigned this to my student. Yes, in a minute. Anyone else having this problem with their animals at home?
Yeah.
So let's go to my student view. They can see that the work has been updated. So say, for example, when they submit, they're going to submit a few pieces of work that they've done. So they're going to add that one. They're going to add another file as well. So they've done 2 pieces of work for, say, like I said, if it's a portfolio or something they've created, they can add that. And they can turn that in. So let's go to our tutor screen now. And I can see that one is handed in. Now, what I can do is, the question asked here, I can send a private comment for the individual work here. So I can see what they've handed in, and I can see the individual work that's gone into that. So there's the Word document, and there's the circuit diagram document.
Okay.
What I can also do, if I click on the work that I'm going to send back to them, is I can add, either I can return one submission or multiple submissions, but the private comments I put underneath will just be for the individual documents. But if I want to send them a comment, which is to go for just all of that work there, I can, where is it? There we go. I can email them and send them a private message for all of their collective work if I want to. What's probably easier is to have it as, like you said, if you've got multiple work here, is to just put the private comment and maybe copy and paste it between. So it kind of, that will hopefully hit that task there. Can we send videos, e.g. teachers showing how to complete a math problem? Yes. You can do this a few ways. So I've been doing this where I've been I created a YouTube account, and then I've been doing videos and uploading them. And you can just do this through share something with your class, add, and then I can go to YouTube. So if I go to, I think it was EDS. There we go. So I can add a file that way. So this is a video I made. What we're going to look at next week is we're going to look at using Hangouts. And in the 3rd week, I'm going to show you some other video tools that we can use. But I can put videos on there for them. You can also do live videos using Hangouts as well, which we're going to kind of go through. What other questions have we got? Can you send a template? Yes. And that's next week's session, if that's okay, Anwen. I'm going to be showing you how to create templates next week, and you're going to be using them to do collaborative work tasks as well as individual work tasks. So with regards to Debbie's question, can you set an assignment that they can work on collaboratively? Yes. And I'm going to show you that next week. So this is just building up tension and excitement. So I might just say this for every question, actually. Yeah, next week we're going to be looking at how to create templates and tasks and tools using that. If they're working on a maths task, upload a doc from their computer. Does the system transfer symbols properly, or does it require an app? The great thing again with Google, so say for example, is it Anne? Are they using something like Wolfram Alpha, or are they doing it on another piece of software?
No, I've had documents that I've copied onto my computer and wanted the children to use those sort of question and answer, but when they've transferred, we've got completely different equations. It's just not transferring properly.
The issue there will be because they've got to, it's not a problem with using Google Classroom, it's a problem with they've got to download the font for their own PC.
Right.
Oh, everyone's clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, time to clap.
It is. We'll all have a clap. My wife's a key worker as well, so I'll clap for her. She's downstairs, so.
Oh, is it 8 o'clock? We need to go.
Already.
Yeah, we have to
we need to go.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming this week, guys, and I will see you all next week. Any questions, put them in the box, and I'll happily answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, that's how it's doing, isn't it? It's time to go.
Leave meeting.
Julian, will we automatically get an invite for next week?
Hello.
It's in your inbox.
Oh, brilliant. Thank
And
you.
if it isn't, please email me.
All right, thank you, Beth. I'll have a quick look now.
I've already had Sunday booking straight away, so I think it's out there.
Joe, mine went to spam.
I've got it.
Oh, look at the dog.
He's hungry.
Oh, bless. Right. Well, I'll let you go anyway, Julian, so we can catch up next week if you like.
Fantastic Wednesday.
Thanks, guys.
Yes. And if it's okay with you, can I do the next set? I've got people already asking for the next set, so I'll do a continuation on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's fine. I found loads more really cool little. I've been getting some more websites and bits and pieces. My new favorite one is languageguesser.com.
Language Guesser.
Language Guesser. It's really cool. It's an online quiz and it plays music from around the world, like popular music, and they have to guess the country of origin based on where it's from. So they've got like Mexican pop and hip hop and Slovenian and all these different things. I've got a friend who's a music teacher and he loves it. And it's quite a cool way. So I'm going to be using that. I've also, have you ever looked at Wakelet?
No.
Oh, you're going to be learning.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to be showing Wakelet as well, which is kind of like it's like a Pinterest for your classroom. So I can create a sharing board, like a collage, and I can share lots of different things on there. So if I have a specific module, say I'm doing about the Tudors, the students can paste on this Wakelet board and I can share on it. It's quite professional looking rather than Padlet or something.
Yeah.
And then I've got Slido and Glisser and other bits and pieces I'm going to go through. So that'll be.
Oh, I can't wait.
That'll be.
That's next week's.
Next week for Wednesday, and 2
week
weeks
3
time
for
for
this one.
Thursday. So I'll add that to it. But what I'll try and do is I'll try and ping over the URLs to you because we can create a little sheet for people to go forward from.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I will see you all very soon.
Yeah, take care.
Oh, did you get the recordings?
Yes, I did. Thank you. And I will put them on YouTube as soon as I get a chance.
Superb. Thank you so much.
Okay.